If you're a DIYer or a technician just starting your journey, you probably have a 124-piece tool set and a couple other tools kicking around. But when it's time to move beyond the basics, there are tools that will take you to the next level. I'm here with Nick, who's a master tech, and we're gonna go through some tools that you can use to move beyond the basics and take on new jobs. If you've got a hose removal job, some of the best tools you can invest in would be hose removal pliers and hose separators. These tools give you the grip and the leverage that you need to get into tight places, remove those hoses, and get on with your job.
Yeah, there's so many different options out there. These are personally my favorites, these pistol grips. They're definitely great for breaking that seal loose on a coolant hose or actually installing a vacuum line. When you're working in a shop, time is money.
An inexpensive bore scope is another tool worth looking into to build out that beginner toolkit. They've really come down in price to the point where there's no reason not to put one in your toolbox. Having the ability to access places and look around that you couldn't before is really handy. I find myself using this in the same way that I used to use a mirror.
If you're a technician, even a beginner technician, you probably already have a torque wrench in your box. When you're doing something small, like 15 foot-pounds, even if your torque wrench goes down to that, it's not super accurate. So it's really important to have a small torque wrench that has that lower value. This thing goes from 0 to like 17 foot-pounds. So if you're doing something that's 12, 15 foot-pounds, it's gonna be a ton more accurate. This is the one to put in your box.
As you start getting into bigger jobs, you're gonna start getting into bigger problems. And that's where a tap and die set or some bolt extractors are gonna come in handy. These tools will get you out of a jam.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not a machinist, you're not using these every day. When you pull them out, there is obviously a problem. These bolt extractors are going to come in handy when you break a bolt. And let's face it, if you're a technician working on cars, you're gonna have broken bolts. And sometimes you're gonna break flush, you're gonna have to drill and tap them. That's when you're gonna need this tap set on hand. And it is tempting to get the cheapest kit out there because it's not a tool that you're using every day. But unfortunately, this is where you wanna spend some money because the quality of these tools is going to reflect in the results.
The impact driver and the cordless ratchet are two tools I wish I picked up a lot earlier in my journey. And I think for most people watching this video, these should be the next two tools on your radar if you don't already have them. They are super handy, they offer a lot of power in a compact package, and they can really speed up your work.
Yeah, I totally agree. They're huge time savers. They really let you get into tight spots, like you said. One thing to remember, it's really easy to go out and get like something that's really cheap, but I would recommend getting the best that you can afford. The battery life is really important. You want to make sure it lasts through the job, so a good quality tool will go a long way. A very important tool that's often overlooked is lighting. Having good personal lighting when you're a technician is really important. Getting under the hood, getting under an intake manifold, things like that. You really might need a really tight light like this. This one I've had for over a decade. Battery lasts forever. It's a really good tool. Gives you multiple forms of lighting. This is my go-to. And of course, an underhood light makes your job easier. If you have an underhood light, it really lights everything up. You don't have to worry about it. Some shops have them where they're corded. This one actually works on the same battery ecosystem as my electric tool. So it's something I love to use.
Yeah, no matter your skill level, having the ability to see what you're doing is going to give you the best chance of doing a good job. So don't shortchange yourself, get some good lights.
If you're working on cars, your hands are going to get dirty. It's really important because you're working with chemicals and heat and things like that. It's really important to protect your hands.
Absolutely. And it's also important to have gloves that you like that fit you. You're probably going to go through a few pairs that you don't like until you discover ones that you actually can work with. And once you've got them, it's going to be a huge addition to your kit. Make sure that you have something that is rated for what you're working on and can protect you while also not being irritating and getting in the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's different jobs that you need different gloves. So if you're working with exhaust or exhaust manifolds, something hot, you're going to want a set of leather gloves. And if you're just trying to put a job together, you're working with coolant, you're working with very clean set of latex gloves, is going to do the trick. It allows you to have that feel for the bolt that you need.
Magnetic tool trays are a really smart investment for anybody working on cars, and they're pretty cheap. But the most important thing about them is that they keep your things together. So whether that's your tools or some fasteners you're pulling off of your vehicle, they're going to pay for themselves the first time you don't lose something, and that is a great benefit. One of the most frustrating things about working on a newer vehicle can be just how hard it is to access fasteners sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one is a Wobble extension. This will convert a regular socket into a swivel. So this gives you about 10, 12 degrees. And if that doesn't do the trick, we also have swivel sockets. So these things are a great investment. They work out. You can get into a little bit of a tighter spot, a little bit more of an angle. And if it's an Allen head you're dealing with, you can go ahead and grab a set of these ball end Allen sockets, and these will let you get in almost at a 45-degree angle without stripping out the fastener. So if you are a technician, especially working on modern vehicles, these are a great investment.
All the tools you see up on the cart in front of us, you should be familiar with. You probably have one or two of each, but as you advance and start to build out beyond the basics in your toolkit, you're going to want more and more of them so you have more flexibility. Different picks, different types of trim tools, different extensions, variety of funnels, all these things are going to help expand your abilities while you're working on a job.
If you work on cars, it's really important to have a really good quick disconnect tool set. This set is used for everything from disconnecting a fuel line, power steering cooler line, or an oil cooler line. So if you don't have them and you need to get into something that requires that, you're going to be in a jam. So pick up a set today.
As you take on bigger projects, especially with a daily driver or maybe a project car that you've got, you're going to want to take a look at one of these, a shop manual. Now, whether that's a digital one or a physical copy like this, it's going to have all the information you need to do just about any job you can imagine.
One of the things that you might want to refer back to in the olden days is older service manuals for specific things that you use, like maybe wiring diagrams. Those are always a lot better because they fold out and you can look at an entire diagram in one shot rather than being on the software and scroll through. So whether you're new to automotive repair or you've been doing it for 25 years, training is paramount. Make sure you talk to your shop manager and see if there's any training available or seek it out on your own.
Absolutely. The best place to get started with the automotive knowledge that you need, and head over to Dorman Training Center. That's going to put you on track to that next level. We hope you learned something here today. We're out of here.